All rise.
They're an unruly bunch today. Thank you all. Good afternoon, family, friends, and guests here and on our live stream channel and in the overflow courtrooms as well. To all of our virtual guests from near and far, welcome to the investiture of the Honorable Marcus Bach Armas as County Court Judge of the 11th Judicial Circuit of Florida. Please remain standing as we ask some very special guests to come up and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Judge Bach Armas's children are Ariana, age 9, and Elena, age 7. This is always the best part.
We pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That was perfect. Are you crying yet? He's crying already. This is going to be a good one. Now, as we continue to remain standing, please welcome the Honorable Robert Stevens, Councilman from the City of Miami Gardens, the judge's friend, to lead us in the invocation.
Let us bow our heads for a word of prayer. Father, we pause to gain faithful perspective to what is essential. Lord, we desire to honor stewards. We seek to be worthy guardians of all you have given us. We long to bring justice and love mercifully as we walk humbly before you, God. Help us to reflect your light and redeeming grace to others by declaring with our actions that truth, integrity, service, and perseverance protects the life we share together as a community. Today is a special day for Judge Bach Armas, as we are reminded today of his calling in serving the people of this county. May his position, his privilege, and power of his office be used to impede evil, enable goodness, and encourage peace among every people. Therefore, God, we ask you to grant him wisdom to judge, patience to endure, strength to stand, compassion to care, devotion to deliberate, and endurance to finish strong. Lord, we are your people, and we look to you to pour down all that is necessary so that those that come after us will see more than just a county that lived well, but identify a community that loved well. Lord, you are our great example. Therefore, we walk together in your word, work together according to your will and willingness, together the glory of our God and King. In the name of your Son, I do pray. Amen.
Amen. Everyone, please be seated. And on this very special day, we have some special guests who've joined us. Please stand as I call your name. And some of these people are appearing with us virtually. First, and not foremost, but I'm going to say first I got to take her out of turn, is our Mayor of Miami-Dade County, Danielle Levine-Cava. And you can sit down, Madam Mayor. Thank you. It's a big crowd today, so you're going to be standing up for a long time. Chair of the Miami-Dade County Commission, Commissioner Oliver Gilbert. On behalf of Commissioner Renee Garcia and of alumni of our court system, Harold Foster. On behalf of Commissioner Kevin Cabrera, Sonia Castro, also an alum of the court system. Where's Sonia? There she is. You already met Robert Stevens, councilman from the City of Miami Gardens. Also from the City of Miami Gardens, we have Katrina Wilson, Vice Mayor. Sonia Dickens, City Attorney. Linda Julian, Councilwoman. And Mayor Rodney Harris. We have Commissioner Keon Hardiman. Did I see Commissioner Hardiman? There he is. And former chair, retired commissioner, wonderful friend of the courts, Jose Pepe Diaz. And of course, in the front row, and it brings me much joy to see her where she belongs with us here, a retired Commissioner Sally Heyman. And I think did I see Keone McGee here too? There he is. Not on the list. Thank you, Commissioner, for being here. All right, from the state of Florida, Director of Community Affairs, on behalf of U.S. Representative Carlos Jimenez, Carlos Fanjul. From the 3rd District Court of Appeal, I don't know if I saw them here. Are they here? Do we have any 3rd DCA judges in the house? Okay, no. Retired Judge Larry Schwartz. Retired Judge Martin Zilber. And retired and very proud Mama Judge Mercedes Armas Bach. I was just saying to Judge Bach outside that when I first was introduced to Marcus, and I'm like, who is he? I was told that he was Judge Bach's son. And then I also found out that he was Alex's brother. And then I also found out that he was Laura's husband. And I want all the young women in the audience, and every young woman out there on our YouTube channel to know how remarkable that is. That probably for the first time, I don't know if it's the first time ever, but nowadays, people are sitting here because they're somebody's, he's the son of a judge and the husband of a lawyer, and that's how he was known. It's normally been the other way around. So I think this is kind of pretty remarkable. I'm going to add to that he's also, the father of the two lovelies who did the Pledge of Allegiance. But I think that was pretty remarkable. And so, Judge Bach, I know that I always held you in high esteem. You retired, I think, right as I got on the bench. But today I said, Marcus, this is a great day for you, but I'm so happy for your mom today. We also have with us from the Caribbean Bar Association, Laura Dub, the president-elect. From the Coral Gables Bar Association, Paul John Scanziani. He's past president. I believe he's here via live stream. And from the Cuban American Bar Association, President Giselle Gutierrez. Along with past President Dax Bayo. From the Florida Association for Women Lawyers, the Miami-Dade chapter, we have Diana Mendez, President. Past President of the Miami-Dade Trial Lawyers Association, Eric Bluestein. And Dax, I guess you're also here as Board of Directors, wearing multiple hats. And also Joni Mosley from the Board of Directors of the Miami-Dade Trial Lawyers Association. And is Alan Alvarez here? Alan's on this list too. Did not see him. Maybe he's here via live stream. Jude Facidomo, president of the Florida Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers. And it also says Mike Davis, who's the president of the Miami-Dade chapter, is here. There's Mike. And representing the Hispanic National Bar Association, fabulous attorney and past president of CABA as well, Francis de la Guardia. And from the Miami Lakes Bar Association via live stream, Trinette Zarin, immediate past president. Okay, bear with me. From the Spanish American League Against Discrimination, Juan Diarce. And our friend from the Miami-Dade County League of Cities, Richard Cooper, executive director. We also have from the County Commission and currently the Vice Chair, Anthony Rodriguez. I had to check. Marcus gave me his own list, so. All right, thank you all for that. And if there's anyone I did miss, please let me know. If someone will be texting me as we speak, making sure I get everybody. Also here today, we have our justice partners. On behalf of Public Defender Carlos Martinez, we have Rick DeMaria. On behalf of the State Attorney, Catherine Fernandez-Rundle, we have Scott Dunn. On behalf of Regional Counsel Gene Zanobi, we have Greg Gonzalez. And I'm very honored to introduce to you our newly sworn-in Clerk of Courts, Luis Montaldo. And I think at this time it would also be appropriate to acknowledge that this is the first investiture that we are having in this courthouse in probably, 35 years without Harvey Rubin sitting in that chair. So I know Harvey's here with us, and I know Louis, he's shining down on you, very, very proud. So it's really special to have you here, and I know that most of us are still missing Harvey, who would have been here, just beaming ear to ear. Finally, supporting our day-to-day court operations with their expertise and wisdom. The judiciary, I can tell you, a year and a half into this job, we are nothing without our staff, and representing our staff is our trial court administrator. She's here for the first time as trial court administrator, Deirdre Dunham. On behalf of our general counsel, we have James Rowley. I have to give a big shout out to our incredible AV team and our sites team. They're the people that make this possible for us to actually have this broadcast now. They learned how to do it during COVID, and now it's perfected. So now we're coming to you live on YouTube as well. And our Eunice Ziegler, our public information officer. And my incredible staff, my judicial assistant, Ara Johnson, and my bailiff, chief bailiff, Larry Chester. All right, without further ado, the program will now begin. For remarks on behalf of the Miami-Dade Bar Association, we have Roger Slade, president.
Wow, what a turnout. Very impressive. Members of the judiciary and staff, members of the Miami-Dade Bar, friends and family, public officials, it's my honor and privilege to speak on behalf of Miami-Dade Bar at the investiture of Marcus Bach Armas. If there was ever a person that was qualified and perhaps destined to be a judge, it was Judge Armas. Judge Armas is, by his own description, a Miami guy who grew up here and has a host of contacts with our judiciary long before he became a judge. Through his friend Scott Merrell, he has been a longtime member and active participant of the Miami-Dade Bar. Recently, while Judge Armas was still an assistant general counsel for the Miami Dolphins, I had an opportunity to meet him and speak to him at a Miami-Dade Bar seminar on sports law. When I saw him there and we shook hands, we somehow remembered that we knew one another from some of the multiple cases that I've handled over the course of many years in this community. We went on to try to trace where it could be that we met. We were never able to find exactly the right connection, but we did determine that we had a lot of friends in common. I determined that Judge Armas was at one point Judge Alan Gold's law clerk during the time that I had a pretty big federal interpleader case in front of Judge Gold, and that everyone who worked on that case seems to remember it. But it was then that I realized that Judge Armis was probably the law clerk who was at least partly responsible for denying many of my clients' motions. So I want to say thank you for that. And nonetheless, even though I probably have some sour grapes over that, I decided to come and speak here anyway. So before I stood up here, I called Judge Armis and I asked him what made him do this, what made him become a judge. We talked about his role at the Miami Dolphins as Assistant General Counsel, which almost any lawyer would believe is a dream job. While employed by the Dolphins, Judge Armis worked on the naming rights deal for the stadium, the tennis tournament, the Formula One race, and he worked at the Dolphins in different capacities for 12 and a half years. And when I spoke to him about the Dolphins' playoff loss to the Bills several weeks ago, he explained to me how the Dolphins had built their current team to contest the Buffalo Bills and that the Patriots were no longer the Dolphins' arch nemesis. He gave me football insights during that conversation that I never would have gotten from ESPN. And frankly, I had hardly an idea what he was talking about. Notwithstanding the fact that I spent a lot of time watching football, so he has a real insight. In case you are not aware about the jobs and education that Judge Armis has had over the course of many years, they do reflect his extraordinary qualifications for this job. University of Michigan Law School, Holland and Knight Associate, federal law clerk, Assistant General Counsel to the Miami Dolphins. Now, I also had occasion to speak to one of Judge Armis's friends, and this is what she told me, and I'm hoping that all these things are true because I didn't vet them. But she said, and I quote, "Marcus is a Renaissance man. He speaks English and Spanish. He's a piano prodigy." This is the one I'm not sure about. He says he can freestyle rap. He's extraordinarily social and personable. He knows how to work the room at events and galas. He attends every Miami sporting event. He is a hard worker, and with all that, he still makes time for his family. He's an excellent skier. Apparently, he just bombs straight down the mountain. That's what I was told. And he has a brilliant, accomplished wife on top of all that. So it sounds to me like Judge Armis probably doesn't sleep all that much. So why exactly did Judge Armis leave his dream job to work as a county court criminal judge? When I asked him this, he mentioned several of his mentors who had influenced him. Alan Gold, of course, Rosa Rodriguez, Michael Gendon, his mother. But that's not the real reason why he decided to make the move. The real reason is probably something he may have been too modest to tell me, and that is that he obviously cares about people, he cares about his community, and he cares about the state of our judiciary. So after speaking at length to Judge Armis and getting to know him, it became clear that Judge Armis is just another example of the talent that is being attracted to the Miami-Dade bench. So with that, I say thank you for coming, and congratulations, Judge Armis.
Thank you. We also have here Javi Soto from Miami-Dade College, General Counsel. Thanks for being here. I also see out there Executive Director for the Miami-Dade Trial Lawyers Association, Aaron Boss-Lynn. And not sure how I left out retired Judge Ed Newman. I told him he's supposed to sit over here, but he's hiding back there. So, because this is, as most of you know, Judge Newman, I don't know if you knew, but he's won a couple Super Bowls, in addition to being a retired county court judge for the Miami Dolphins, and Judge Bach has taken over his division. So this is officially the Miami. This is our official Miami Dolphins seat on the bench. All right, and so through some scheduling snafus that I will take responsibility for, the Florida Bar sends their love and regards to Judge Bach, but they are in the middle of Board of Governor meetings. So believe it or not, all the different Florida Bar members who love to be here and represent the Florida Bar weren't able to be here today. So we get a bonus speaker from the Miami-Dade Bar and a good friend and distinguished attorney, a good friend of Judge Bach, Scott Merrell.
Good afternoon. Chief Judge Safey, Chief Judge Marcus Bach, Armis, all the judiciary present, all of esteemed colleagues and friends. I get to be here today and have the honor to talk about Marcus Bach Armis, who's been a good friend and good guy, and I can't wait to see him on the bench. We are both Miami lifers. Marcus and I have known each other our entire lives through our parents, Funny enough, my dad and Judge Mercy Bach were actually in the same law school class, even the same study group. They would hang out all the time. They were best friends. So we knew each other before we even existed. As the old saying goes, it runs in the family. So Judge Marcus Bach, you were destined to be a judge. You followed in your mom's footsteps. I just can't wait to be back here in a few years to see your daughters coming back for a third generation Bach Armis judge, which might be a first. I'm not sure. Luckily, Judge Marcus Bach was able to get the position unopposed, and even cooler, as Chief Judge Safety just stated, he's filling the position of a former Miami Dolphins player, Ed Newman, and former judge. So, pretty cool. Marcus and I connected in middle and high school at Ransom Everglades. He was 3 years ahead of me, and in high school, he always commanded attention. Not only because we were there to listen, but we also wanted to see what he was going to try to change at the school, what he was going to try to make better. I still can't imagine if we were sitting in high school talking to each other and we said, fast forward 10, 20 years, you're going to be the general counsel of the Miami Dolphins, and today be a judge. Well, that's what happened. After high school, we lost touch for a few years. We both went on to college, but right before I started law school at the University of Miami, my godfather, Richard Tahir, who is also here today, and a good friend of the family, started becoming friendly with his neighbor in Key Biscayne. And funny enough, that neighbor was Gabriel Bach, Marcus's Bach's father. So, of all people. So, Marcus also lives in Key Biscayne. He's lived there for years. I don't think he's ever leaving. I would regularly go visit Richard Tahir and Gabriel to hang out with them, watch Heat games, and I would get to hear all about the updates as he was finishing law school at University of Michigan. When he came back here, he was helping represent some Olympic swimmers, doing a sports agency, then going to be a big law, then moving over to be a clerk for Judge Alan Gold, and then the big news came. In 2010, he got the dream call. He would be leaving his clerkship for the Miami Dolphins. And it's always been a diehard Miami Dolphins fan. It's hard these days, but he's still one. Unfortunately, the NFL had other plans for him. And in early 2011, there was an NFL lockout for over 4 months, which made him sit there and question, oh crap, what did I just do? I'm out of a job maybe. Luckily, an even better dream came true that year, and he got engaged and soon married to his wife, Laura. His other dream didn't work out too bad either. The NFL resumed play. He continued to be the head of government and legal affairs for the Miami Dolphins for 12 years. He even built the first in-house legal department for the Dolphins. He even got his good friend Adam Geiger to work for a bit, helping him so he could have some other friends there with him. He's always been a go-getter, and that was no different at his time at the Dolphins. As we've all alluded to and talked about, he helped bring multiple events to the stadium. He helped bring college football playoff games, Super Bowls, University of Miami football games, Miami Open tennis, even opened a facility, and recently the F1 racing. I also recently found out, too, he was one of the integral parts of helping turn the Dolphin Stadium and the facilities into a COVID testing and vaccine center, which I'm sure many of us may have frequented during the time we've had to get tested in different parts. He's also always pushed to give back to our community. Our community, his community is always important to him. He's helped with the Dolphin Cycling Challenge, which he's been involved in for years and keeps getting bigger and bigger. He's still even on the board of directors as he's moved over to the judge position. He's also tried to help with various things in his community in Key Biscayne, throughout Miami, his kids' school, his alma mater, University of Michigan, Wesley, and even our high school, Ransom Everglades. If you know Judge Bach Armis, you know on a dime, if you need anything or ask anything, he'll get it done. I've experienced this a few times over the years. Just last year, I texted Marcus out of the blue, what is the best, most kid-friendly event for the F1 racing for a 4.5-year-old who doesn't love loud noises? Yes, I really asked that. But in 10 minutes, him and I were texting, he goes, how many tickets do you need? And here's a parking pass as well as 2 tickets. I really thought it was just a link for tickets. It was a great event. My son loved it. We had the best time, and I'm thankful for that. Even we used to share Heat tickets for years. During the Big Three, after the Big Three, before, we'd always go to games, and I remember him starting to bring his kids to the games, and that was a real joy, and I waited for the day to take my son, which I got to do recently. And truthfully now, it's important to say, you're now on the bench. If you want, I can take those tickets off your hands. Just saying. I would be remiss if I didn't mention his biggest supporters in his life. His wife, Laura, here, and his daughters, Ariane and Ellie. Laura is also a superstar lawyer and recently became a senior vice president of litigation for Televisa Univision after being at Wild Gosh for 10 years. Just last year, as we all started to get back to go to in-person events, I had the pleasure of being installed as the Miami-Dade Bar Young Lawyers President. Judge Bach Armis and his wife were there. We were able to catch up in person, which was a nice change. Jokingly, he said to me, "I can't believe you brought your kids here. You have a 6-month-old. Without hesitation, I said, "I couldn't imagine being here without them." We both recognize kids are precious, and there's no bigger joy and honor than having them here today. It's been an awesome watching his daughters grow up, and I'm glad to see they're here today to be part of this honor, as I know he would want nothing less. In preparing for today, I also found this perfect quote. "Look at our community. It's not black, white, Cuban, it's all of it." That was said by Judge Marcus Bach Armis when he was working at the Dolphins at a community event. I think this is the epitome of Judge Marcus Bach Armis, and I know how he will be on the bench. Everyone is our community. Everyone has a right to be heard. He will be fair, impartial, kind, considerate, and above all, he will do anything to protect this community and the rights of our community and the people. So I end my speech with, it is a pleasure to be here today for Judge Marcus Bach Armis. You've earned that title. You are a judge. I could not be prouder of everything you've accomplished. Thank you again for including me on your special day. I am certain this will not be your last investiture.
And one more VIP, and I want him to know that I got about 12 texts telling me that he was here, is Commissioner J.C. Bermudez, formerly Doral Mayor. All right, now, Marcus, I'm going to give you your plaques. And normally it's not such a big endeavor, and especially during COVID, like they kind of, this is going to take a while, so everyone buckle in. First and foremost, we have the desk plate that every judge gets from the Conference of County Court Judges. And I know you move into your office and you think, what am I going to put on there? Well, now you got lots of stuff from the Spanish American League Against Discrimination. Juan D'Arce's here, plaque. I've never seen this one before. I would kind of like this. Miami-Dade Trial Lawyers Association, I don't have one of these, just saying. Judge Mark, now he's got a gavel. I don't know how he's worked the last couple weeks without one, but now he can work with a gavel. From the Cuban American Bar Association, and from the Florida Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers, and then last but not least, I think if we had more time I'd read this, but this is pretty impressive. From Congressman Carlos Jimenez, we have, it's going to be in the congressional record today that Marcus is here having his investiture. So I'm not going to read it all, but that's pretty cool. So. And now for personal remarks on behalf of the judge's family and friends, please welcome the Honorable Oliver Gilbert, who is an attorney, chairman of the Miami-Dade Board of County Commissioners.
I feel like I should say, may it please the court. Chief Judge, there are a couple of people we missed. The city manager from Miami Gardens back there, Cameron Benson. And the head of the best law firm in Miami-Dade County, Jerry, the county attorney's here. So funny story, Marcus called me and told me that I was gonna speak. He didn't actually ask me, Your Honor, he actually told me. But yesterday I get this funny text, and he said he was sending it from the chief judge, and it's like this judicial order about all of these things you can't say when you're speaking at an investiture. And so I'm sitting there, and well, you can't use profanity. And I was like, well, I don't know that I was gonna use profanity. It says you can't be salacious, and I had to look up what salacious meant. And it was interesting, because the only thing I really planned on saying is that being a good lawyer doesn't mean you're going to be a good judge. I'm a lawyer. I have friends that are lawyers who I know would be horrible judges. I don't necessarily think I'd be a good judge, because being a judge is more than just the law. The law is your master, but justice is your goal, your heart, your fairness, how you see people, that you actually see them. And so I've known Marcus for a very long time. In so many ways, we grew up together because when he was with the Miami Dolphins, I was a city councilman and then the mayor of Miami Gardens. And so when we first started, the city and the team didn't have that good of a relationship. We said that we would change that. We said that it wasn't about a team, it wasn't about a city, it was about a community, and we were the community. And so when I say that Marcus is going to be a good judge, he sees us. He doesn't just see people who are rich. He sees people who are poor. He doesn't just see people who are white. He sees people of every race. It is amazing to have that type of heart and to live in the house with Laura because she's the smart lawyer. I have every confidence in him. You know, I'm happy that he didn't have an election. Because if he had an election, that means that I had to spend every day campaigning because him losing wasn't an option. Him losing wasn't an option because while we love him in Miami Gardens, we love him at the Miami Dolphins. I see General Counsel Miles Pistorius here. Oh, and Eric Ponce from the Orange Bowl here. But the truth is that we could stand here, and Chief Judge, I can promise you, we're going to miss some names. We're going to miss Eric Knowles. We're going to miss people because the people who are doing things in this community, the people who actually are leading and serving and love this community, they're either here or they're watching or they want to be here. Because we know that right now, the person who's taking the bench is an extraordinary human being who's going to be an extraordinary jurist for this community. Congratulations, Marcus.
And now well, first of all, that order that you got was not from this chief judge. I don't think it was even from the last chief judge. I think it was a couple chief judges ago. So, yeah, it wasn't. We don't run as tight a ship as they did in the old days, so it's okay. And now for further personal remarks on behalf of the judge's family and friends, we have Dr. Jose Armas, the judge's cousin.
Good afternoon to all of you, and thank you for joining us on this wonderful and proud moment for Marcus and our family, and of course, thank you, Marcus, for allowing me to share in your special day. It's an honor to our family to continue this great legacy. I know we as your family are proud, your mom is especially proud, and our grandfather is smiling down on us. First off, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Jose Armas. I'm Marcus's first cousin. It's an honor for me to be here introducing him. While some of you may know me, a common question that I get is, are you Marcus's cousin? The usual quick response is, yes, of course I am. It's almost always followed by a pause and say, wait a second, how do you know Marcus? And the reason that is as a lot of you know, there's different Marcuses that you know, and it's important to differentiate which Marcus you know, because when you know them as long as I have, every Marcus that you know brings a different conversation with it. So, do you know the Marcus that would go with me to Casa de los Trucos and prank Papi, our grandfather? Or do you know the Marcus that played a full Mozart concerto at the same age? Do you know the Marcus that introduced me to the prodigy internet service provider at a young age? Or the one that would sit there and watch epic battles between the Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan on live TV? Do you know the Marcus that made it through and graduated high school his way and ended up in his top school, Wesleyan? Or the one that had his own underground rap group? He did freestyle. Do you know the Marcus that went to Michigan Law School to find the love of his life, or the one that went there to become a sports agent? Do you know the Marcus that has been a lifelong Dolphins fan? I know it's difficult, but he has been, bleeding aqua and orange, or the one that decided it was more than that and had to become part of the Dolphins? Or more so, the one that became a community leader and a vital part of our thriving Miami community? The one that has dedicated endless time and efforts to supporting these communities through charities and a variety of public events, such as the Dolphin Cycling Challenge, which he is now on the board of directors. The one that was out there bridging gaps across all walks of life of the Miami community, and doing so with his contagious and effortless joy. Do you know the Marcus that was living his dream, being part of the Dolphins, and giving us the early scoop on who would be on the elevator the next morning? Or do you know the man who gave up his dream to come to work on his dream job? What I'm saying is that I know a lot of Marcuses, and for me it's really special, immensely important, and it's impressive for me to say this as his cousin, known him my entire life. I'm sure you all feel that way about every single Marcus, whichever one you know on this list. Like I said earlier, this is an immense honor for me, and even more so because I get introduced you all to this day to a new Marcus that we're all going to get to know and be proud of, the Honorable Judge Marcus Bach Armis. Congratulations. I love you guys.
I kind of want you to wrap your oath now. I know. Are we not all tempted? Okay, not today. We're gonna stick with the prior judge's memo and keep the decorum. Now for the oath of office and robing, I would like to ask retired judge and proud mama, Mercedes Armis Bach, to join the judge. And family, come on down. As we've already known, wife and distinguished lawyer, Laura Bueso Bach. And one of the judge's oldest friends, but new colleague, our very own County Court Judge Laura Gonzalez Marquez.
Raise your right hand. State your name. I
Marcus Bach Armis,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support, protect, and defend
that I will support, protect, and defend
the Constitution and the government of the United States of America
the Constitution and the government of the United States of America
and of the state of Florida,
and of the state of Florida,
that I am duly qualified to hold office,
that I am duly qualified to hold office,
and that I will well and faithfully perform the duties
that I will well and faithfully perform the duties
of County Court Judge
of County Court Judge
of the 11th Judicial Circuit,
of the 11th Judicial Circuit,
on which I am now about to enter.
on which I am now about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God. You may button. Do I speak now? You want to do it too? Thank you for your patience while my daughter's button up the road. One for you.
Everyone please be seated.
My own list. Yes, my former colleagues from the Dolphins know, and Jason Jenkins, my brother above, know that I have to make my own list because we have to make sure we get all the right folks acknowledged. And no matter how many lists there are, I'm going to make sure I have mine as well. It's really quite a moment being in a room with so many people that I love so much and so many people that I respect so deeply. So I'm just taking a moment to soak it all up because this is really a overwhelming and proud occasion. So thank you all for being here. Madam Chief Judge, Mr. Chairman, Madam Mayor, colleagues, friends, family, judges, senior judges, retired judges, Mom, Ed, and even an Alaska Supreme Court Justice, my law school roommate, who is with us online. Thank you all for being here today. And a special thank you to Ed Newman. Ed, your retirement created this special opportunity for me to keep this Group 7 seat aqua and orange, and I thank you for that. I know every person here has important obligations, obligations that are oftentimes mission critical to the functioning of society. We have physicians who save lives, mayors and lawmakers who create and enforce laws, judges who interpret them, home builders, homemakers, deal makers, deal breakers, that's you litigators, parents and grandparents, and even a couple of Miami-Dade County public school students. Thank you, Arinelli, Nikos, Marcos, Isaac and Avi, my nephews. Whether you're here in this historic courtroom or watching online, thank you for setting your lives aside for a moment to be here with me. I do not take your presence or your 6-minute increments of time for granted. That's a lawyer joke. To my wife, Laura, mother of our children, head of litigation at Univision, thank you for being my voice of reason, the captain of my conscience as I embark on this latest journey. Judicial investitures are unique creatures. Unlike legislators, we can't talk about policy. We are impartial arbiters of the law. We cannot speak to politics. We cannot tell you what we will or won't do. But I can talk about community, and specifically our community quilt, this cosmically beautiful fabric comprising the immense spectrum of racial, ethnic, and socioeconomic experiences in South Florida. That I can talk about. And you've heard a lot about that today. You know, when you sit down and ponder big life changes, like trading a stadium for a courtroom, you necessarily ponder the life that preceded and led to those changes. I did not grow up yearning to file an application for appointment or to run a campaign for election to the bench. Nor did I think I'd make a very good judge when I worked for a great one in Judge Alan Gold. But then I met Miami, all of Miami, from 376th Street in Florida City to 215th Street up in Miami Gardens, in a way I'd never had. Working at Hard Rock Stadium and the Miami Dolphins for 12 years, I was staffed on a number of projects, most of which were entirely unrelated to one another. But there was almost always a common thread. They required government action or inaction, a permit, a zoning approval, funding, and government, at least in most democracies, is a reflection of the people. Thus, in order to do my job, in order to understand a government that is a reflection of its constituents, I had to understand those constituents. I had to understand their experiences. Like the experience of a small business owner who couldn't make payroll during COVID in the early days of the pandemic and didn't know if their business would survive. The experience of a mother who has lost a child to gun violence. The experience of Cuban exiles and Holocaust survivors like my grandparents who fled Hitler's Germany and Castro's Cuba, or our Haitian and Venezuelan brethren who have built burgeoning and bustling communities here. The experience of people who suffer from food or transit insecurity, or people who work 3 or 4 jobs. Experiences like that. The experience of a parent who has a child with pediatric cancer. These are experiences that might make you just believe when you hear, "Judge, you won't believe this, but." Until science permits it, our lives will be far too short to accumulate the life experience we need for infinite wisdom. But there are proxies: education, reading, and the learnings of others. Seek out those learnings. Seek out others. Break down the walls of division. Fight the scourge of tribalism and resist the comfort of commonality. As judges, our jobs are multifaceted. We absorb and find facts, interpret laws as they are written, and otherwise manage a sometimes underappreciated core function of our democracy. But democracy is nothing if not a product of humanity, a reflection of its wonders, like humanity's ability to contemplate, humanity's ability to collaborate, humanity's ability to constitute complex systems of government. As a judge, my mandate is clear: to interpret the laws and the constitutions of the United States and the state of Florida and Miami-Dade County. But there is so much more to this job, both on and off the bench. And in that, I hope that shared humanity will always guide me to shared understanding through the different experiences that define us, so that we can stay collegial, so we can stay civil, stay patient, stay professional, stay smart. We simply need to stay human, my friends. Thank you very much.
Everyone, please be seated. So, Judge Buck Armis, it's my pleasure to welcome you to our Miami bench. So, I first met Marcus, I think it was the beginning of the pandemic, at a small event, and he's one of those people that you meet and you feel like you've known him your whole life. And of course, as I was meeting him, and I think Commissioner Heyman actually is the one who introduced me to him, and of course I met him and he was, Mercy's son and Alex's brother and Laura's husband, but then I got to know him as his own person. And quickly, we talked about the fact that he was working for the Dolphins, which I'm not the football fan, but I recognize that's a dream job. I have twin boys who are now actually turning 23 later this week, and I thought, oh my God, they're going to love when I tell them about, meeting Marcus. And right away, I find out that he wants to be a judge, and right away I'm thinking, oh my God, why do you want to be a judge? And of course, I said that to my kids, and they know what I do for a living, and they were like, what? He wants to do what you do? And he works for the Dolphins right now? But more importantly, he immediately offered to mentor one of my kids, and he did. He didn't just say it, he followed through, and he's become a mentor to one of my children, and that said so much to me about the kind of human being he is. And you are much more now than just Mercy's son. But Mercy, you raised him right, and I'm really, really honored that he's actually mentoring one of my own now. And with that, you're now taking over the Miami Dolphins seat, and keep it going, keep it running in the tradition of Judge Newman. And I'm happy to report too that for those of you who didn't know, that Judge Newman's bailiff was former running back Tony Nathan. Is Tony here? No? Okay, and Tony is still his bailiff. So. So yes, so Marcus is well protected. But he exemplifies everything that we need here. On top of that, his family, it's a long tradition, and I echo what was said earlier. It'd be beautiful to see the next generation. We could do that for the first time. But with that, on behalf of all your colleagues, welcome aboard. And on behalf of all the judges of the 11th Judicial Circuit of Florida, thank you so much for joining us here and online. For those of you that would like to greet the judge and his family, please come forward and greet the judge too. It'll be to your right. Thank you all very much. Court is in recess. I'm going to take a picture of the two of us. Here he is. Over here.
Under the fan, I was told.